we went from there into these more lively grasses, the vegetatively propagated grasses, which were in addition to Pensacola. The wonderful thing of Pensacola Bahia now, you can get a stand in less than a year. With proper treatment, they can get a stand, a producing stand, and that's just wonderful. And it's easier than with any of the vegetatively planted grasses. So that's one of the reasons there's so much of it. And it will, hey, fertilizer is expensive. And I'm not sure where intensive cattle production is going to go in the long run. That's an economist and somebody else's idea, not mine, but it is a serious consideration. And Bahia grass, Pensacola Bahia, thrives under fertility levels that the other grasses won't do it. So that's the reason. So we've gone from big deal Pangola to huge areas of Pensacola Bahia and other miscellaneous. There's some other wild grasses that I don't even know what they are. The fertilizer technology has changed. I don't know. We bought a little Chilean nitrate of soda, a few tons, but it was so expensive, and it got lumpy, and it was just too expensive. So actually, when the war brought us sulfate of ammonia, and the other chemically induced nitrogen sources. Now, we haven't said anything about legumes, because in certain places they've been important, but wide scale on this kind of land, they were too demanding. Oh, I had wonderful white clover here. We got 800 pounds of weight gain on an acre. We hand moved the fertilizers, the sprinkling systems, and there was 4 acres, and we got the cattle just grew. They just put on weight, and so many cattle on an acre that you couldn't hardly believe it. But it was too intensive. Right. It took too much management.
And it would require heavy rotation. And
yeah.
Right.
Which it's still being done. There are places that are people that are making it work.
Right.
Yep, people are making it work.
What did you see as far as physical changes here, like new buildings, so on and so forth?
Oh, they've gone into, well, they have a very active educational program in addition to research. These young people that are coming in from other countries who need basic instruction in fertilizer and management, and cattle management, and that's a big function here.
Let this guy go over. Stop for a minute, Rob. Sorry.
Well,
Hold on a second. I'm gonna get with you. You can sit down so you can talk to me. Hold on a second. This one's still rolling. Here we go. All right, so let's talk about physically what you see changes-wise here.
Well, today, look around, there's just huge additions in the facilities, in the barns, in the storage and protective areas, and in the residential for students, which is a big. And we were taking care of workers. We weren't taking care of students, because it was today there's just more leeway. There are different emphases than there where we had a visitor from Costa Rica, and we enjoyed him. We called him Beto. That was just a part of his name. But he came and stayed with us a while, and when he was ready to go home, we had a big party, and we sang and pretended to try to sing Spanish words, and but that was just an occasion for us. Now it's more or less routine, right? Yeah. So there's new functions for the same system, new additional functions.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to get to is, when you came here, tell us maybe how many buildings they were. Definitely wasn't no AC because there was no electricity. Maybe things like that.
When we came here, there was this house and that garage. there was another house right here in this gap, similar to this house, and that's all. Over there, the what we call the horse barn, this first one right here, it was already built. It had been built in the time before. The little building across there, there was room for a office 10 feet square, and then next to it there was room for a tool storage room 10 feet square, and then there were two 10-foot open storage sheds next to these two closed-in rooms. And there was a little knocked-together shack that we called the WPA shack. It was left over from when the WPA had been here. And that's all there was. There wasn't cattle pens. We started right away. That was the next thing. Yeah. So today, wow, I don't know what we got.
How many cattle did you start with back then?
Oh, started with 0. Got a few from Gainesville that they didn't want, a few from Belgrade that they couldn't handle any longer. We bought a few from Uncle Charlie Carlton, some great Burma cows that he was getting rid of because we had fenced his cows out. Well, don't tell, but we had fenced out quite a lot of cattle, and he had cattle for sale, and we bought some of them. They were good cattle, great Burma, very great, but they were still at least half Burma. He always had a Burma bull somewhere, and we took advantage. We used his stuff to add to our. We didn't have much money. We'd have bought more.
And so you saw the dawn or the beginning of the heifer cattle.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. We did everything but steal to get another 5 head. The Burma people wanted us to have the Burma cattle into our work, but they couldn't hardly afford to give them to us because they were worth so much. And the little heifer we'd pay $500 for, and it was doing us a favor to let us have her. Well, so we bought when we could. We did a lot of work with Peacock did a lot of management work with the black cattle. I think they were grade. I think they had some Burma blood, but I didn't pay any attention. They weren't my cows.
District cow. So you were the Angus and those kind of cattle. You didn't really. You were more into feeding them than you were.
I would feed them. I'd feed them. I'd put them on my pastures as long as you let me have them. Yeah. But we really worked together. There was no room for any disagreement. If we disagreed, we were in big trouble. So we knew it. There were times when we had some very serious disagreements, but we didn't let it get into what we were doing with our work.
Your focus was to develop, help the cattle industry develop.
That's right. That's right. So it was an experience, and looking back at it, I have a better appreciation. At the time, I was just working, and you know, that'll take you a long ways. And now I've been given this special opportunity to look way back, man. I remember the first day that I drove to work here. Now, I'd already been here, just passed by, but I came to work. It was in mid-January, and it rained and wet, and the ponds were, which is unusual, the ponds were full of water. I don't know what I did. I have no idea.
But you can remember it.
I see it. Right out there where I turned off the hard road, and it wasn't a nice road.
Was it even a
hard
road?
It was paved.
It's paved. Really?
Yes, it was paved. It was the main road. It was the main road from Wauchula to Arcadia. That road, 17 wasn't there.
Right. How long has 64 been here?
I don't know. I do know that it went to Ona and out to Mayaca Head, and then went down to Mayaca City. And if you want to go to Bradenton, then you turn back to go up and came out on the road that's now 64.
There you go. Let's talk about some of the characters that you worked or met or some of the people in the cattle industry themselves, some of the people that really you think helped you make an impact?
Well, the county agent Paul Heyman in Polk County was a real support for me, and I can't tell you how. He just was. He accepted what we recommended and didn't push if we didn't know. He accepted we didn't know, and you know that there are folks that won't let you admit that you don't know, and so that leads you, that tempts you to deceive or mislead. So Louis Alsmeyer was a county agent in Highlands County, and he was a strength to me and to talking to people. Ed Ayers was a county agent in Manatee County, and I depended on him.
Was there people in the industry that you felt helped you evangelize some of your techniques? That might have took what you did and showed somebody else, yeah, it works in my ranch too?
Let me think about that. Just
like Mr. Kirk, maybe.
Oh well, Dr. Kirk supported me all the way, and I hope I supported him in all of his work. So we were tied. We were tied like this,
right.
And that was to me it was a very rewarding experience, because he was a solid, stable citizen and a solid, stable researcher.
Good.
And no foolishness. No foolishness. If you wanted funnies, go somewhere else. All right?
Yes, sir. And I would probably be chastised if I didn't ask this question. What do you feel like maybe has led to your longevity? I mean, 100 years, that's a long time for most people.
The quick answer is good, clean living and lots of luck. Beyond that, my mother lived to be 95 or 96 with nothing except a blood pressure pill or two, and I'm not sure what one of them did her in. My father only made it to 85, and he had lived with a defective heart for 40 years and worked. And if he ever got tempted to overwork, he lost a day or two that he couldn't work. So my genetics was pretty good for me. And hey, good clean living and lots of luck.
Just luck. Yep.
And
it's amazing when these days, 100 years.
Well, I'm a little surprised, and I kind of laugh just a little bit. People are blowing me up, puffing me up as if it was. Anyway, and I'm enjoying every bit of it.
All right.
Every bit of it.
I think and it's well deserved. I think so.
Well, we'll leave that somewhere else, not me.
And what you've seen, that's and amazing that you down to the dates.
You know, this could look almost like it did the first sunny day I was here.
I can ask that, Mark. You don't have to call. Just you have a question for me? I can ask him. It's phosphate. Okay. Let's ask that.
I mean, answer him if he wants to. If you want
Well,
to, but not if you don't.
Well,
And
yes,
also,
I don't mind.
And also your work with your connections with the University of
That's a
Florida
good one.
people.
Thank you.
Well, phosphate was a big industry. They wanted, and they had all kinds of things. There was colloidal phosphate, rock phosphate, basic slag, and another one or two. Well, which one is the best? And they offered me support to test these different phosphate sources, including one treatment with no phosphate. We carried that on for years and years. It didn't cost us very much because we kept the same cows stayed there. The one that was the best was the most limited basic slag. But hey, we produced, it helped finance the range cattle station because those other pastures were productive. We had, I've forgotten, I've lost here and there, I've lost something, but we sold the calves. either sold the calves or put them into another experiment and then sold them. So we probably got 50, 60 calves out of that project, 500-pound calves. Well, back then they weren't worth as much as they are now, but they were a significant. For 10 years, we raised at least half of our budgeted income right here from our cattle, from our experimental cattle, for at least the first 10 years. And I think it was longer.
Just a second.
There they come.
Here they come. Let me get rolling here. About an hour here, Mr. Rob. All right, so we're going to ask you, what about your some of the accomplishments or your how do you say it? Your work with the people at the University of Florida. How did that kind of cooperation work?
We were, after the first little while, when I think they felt like we were an unnecessary competition for finances, and they discovered that we weren't the same climate here as they were in Gainesville. We've always been in good cooperation. No problem. We had our situation and they had theirs, and so there never was, to my knowledge, any serious problem. So the ongoing development of this research unit focused essentially on beef production, with some other things like international education, which is permissible if it does not compromise the number one, which is the cattle industry. Whatever their needs, and they're different than they were in 1940.
Right. There was no beef industry in Chile or South America.
None.
None.
Well, all right.
There was none here.
There wasn't any here.
Right.
It was woods cattle and open range. If you saw it, you know exactly that meant nothing. That was just the way it was. It was natural. People were making a living. But it was an uncertain living. And here we were in this, people had lost these huge investments, and here we were taking advantage of it to establish a research facility, cheap.
So is that how the land became available? Was used to be somebody else's?
It was sold in 5, 10, 20, whatever acre lots to people up north, and it was, I don't know why, I don't know who, they were just carried away, and then they couldn't pay things got bad and they couldn't pay the taxes, and the county took it over for taxes.
So how did the University of Florida ended up with the land then? How did they?
They pulled strings and raised a little bit of money here and there, and bought these tax certificates from the county for, I saw a figure somewhere $2 an acre, and then eventually turned it over to whoever it is in the state that handles property ownership. It's not ours, nothing here, but there's a whatever system that holds the deed to all this property.
And it's how many acres?
I'm not sure. I can't tell you. 26, 40 maybe.
Okay.
It's essentially 4 square sections.
I can ask.
Yeah. Oh, it's in all the paper. I just don't memorize it.
That's no problem.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get a ballpark.
Yeah.
And to your knowledge, it has stayed in production since the 40s.
Oh yes. Oh yes. There was a figure somewhere that some corporation local, handled it for $2 and some cents an acre, and they owned it, and then established an ownership other than this tax deed. The tax deed doesn't give you anything except a paper thing. So they went through whatever it took to establish ownership so that they could turn it over to the state